You had sex with another woman in my bed.
Hey girl, hey, welcome back to Whole Girl Dialogue. I'm back with another video, and today we're going to be addressing the most recent scandal between Eat With Q and her ex-boyfriend. And I have a very special message for Q. I just want to encourage you on today. I want to tell you just to stay the course. Don't get off track. I know that you may have gotten off track and you got caught up and tied up with a man who meant you no good, but that doesn't mean that there isn't still somebody super amazing out there for you. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have his hands on you. Don't listen to people who are saying, oh, we told you so, and this, that, and the third, because at the end of the day, there are so many women who go through these types of relationships and they end up getting with men who are no good. And it's honestly a result of inner work that we have to do as women. We have to take a look at ourselves, and we have to know that there's something there that we're searching for. And you are a believer, and you know that that thing is Jesus. You know that there's that emptiness that we feel like we have to have a man, or we have to have this, or we have to have that, and we're constantly chasing and trying to fill that void in our hearts. And we know that only God can fill that. And so when we bring a human man into a situation and we make him our God, this is the result of that. We get let down. We are disappointed. I know in your video, you talked about how your mom and your sister and your cousin warned you. And I'm pretty sure you were put on notice. There was that check in your spirit, in your gut, telling you that this man was no good for you, but you still proceeded. And I do believe a lot of that has to do when we women, we connect ourselves, we tie ourselves with a man, especially physical. Once the physical happens, it's going to be even more difficult for you to pull away, for you to break that tie, to break the cord. And that leads me into my point on soul ties. We have to make sure that we are connecting ourselves to the right people. I just pray that God gives you a even greater dose of the spirit of discernment, and that you will be able to discern not only even in romantic relationships, but friendships and people around you who mean you no good. I pray that God allows you, like he opens your eyes, and you are allowed to see who is for you and who is not for you, so that you're not wasting your time, so that you're not wasting your energy and your resources on someone who doesn't mean you any good. If anybody else is dealing with a soul tie, I'm going to insert what that actually is, and I'm going to drop some videos in the description, so that if you want to get a better understanding and go and listen to some sermons and get some insight on that, I'm going to do that. That leads me into my next point on just this idea that we aren't wrestling against flesh and blood. I know you're angry and upset with this man, but you have to understand that from the time that we're born, the enemy is trying really, really hard to get you off track, to deter you from the ultimate purpose that God has placed in you to carry out on this earth. And so he will place people into our lives who are like agents of chaos, people to get us off of track. And I believe that is who this man was. And going back to operating in the spirit of discernment, that's why it's so important for us to be on notice and always watchful, and not allowing ourselves to let our guards down, because there's always going to be people who are going to try to come into your life to get you off of track. And thank God that you were able to catch it quick, but think about all the women who go years and years and years and years tied to a man who doesn't mean her any good, and who is getting her off track, and she's having babies and babies. And you look up one day and you realize you've wasted so much time on other people and things, not realizing that you haven't even done what you were supposed to do on this earth. And so I'm glad that you caught it quick. Just know that, again, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. This is a very spiritual fight that we're in. And so I just encourage you, even as you're dealing with the aftermath of the breakup, just make a conscious effort to forgive and to really release him, because at the end of the day, Play has a soul himself, and we want him to be a part of the kingdom as well. We don't want to lose him to darkness. And so it doesn't mean that you need to call him up and say, hey brother, I'm praying for you, but no, forgive, release him and forgive. And that's where the true healing is going to come from, when you allow yourself to forgive him. And you're just going to realize that so much dead weight is going to fall off of you when you do. This leads me to my final point, and that is on condemnation. I know you talked about in your video how this man was bringing up your past and some of the things that you had done and gone through online with Bila's life. And I just want to just say that your thinking is in the right place. Don't allow the enemy to plant or try to bring up your past and plant negative seeds in your mind, because like you said, you aren't in that space anymore. And I just encourage you to read, if you have time, to read Romans 3-7. I'll insert that here so that you can see it. But you're no longer a slave to sin. You're no longer a slave to your past, and you don't have to live from that space. So continue walking in your truth. Continue walking forward. Don't look back. Don't look back on the things that held you down or the ways that you went wrong, because God has already forgiven you. As you can see, Beloved's life has already forgiven you. And so continue to push forward.